My son kicked me onto the street because I refused to hand over my business. The very next day, he got an unexpected gift. A court process server knocking on his front door. He went ghost white right then and there, and I finally found my peace. It was December 24th when my own flesh and blood threw me out onto the sidewalk like garbage. It was 11 o'clock at night. The house was all decorated, Christmas lights blinking in the windows. The smell of honey-glazed ham and mac and cheese was still lingering in the air. And there I was, at 67 years old, being shoved outside by the man I'd raised all by myself after his mother left us. My name is Marcus Sterling, and this is the story of how my son Andre tried to steal everything I had built, and how I made him pay dearly for it. Let's go back to that afternoon. I had gotten to Andre's house in Decatur, Georgia, around 7 p.m. I brought gifts for my grandkids, 9-year-old CJ and 6-year-old Zoe, a red bicycle for the boy who'd been asking for it for months, and a 3-story dollhouse for the girl with working lights and everything. I spent around $300 in total, but it was Christmas Eve. It was family. When I walked in, my daughter-in-law Tasha barely looked at me. She just gave a dry nod and went back to the kitchen. Andre was in the living room, phone in hand, brow furrowed. He didn't even stand up to greet me properly. The kids at least welcomed me with hugs. CJ wrapped his arms around my neck. Zoe showed me her new dress her mother had bought her. I smiled, but my heart was already heavy. I knew this atmosphere. It was the calm before the storm. Dinner was cold, not the food, which was hot and well prepared, but the mood at the table weighed like lead. Tasha chewed slowly, her eyes fixed on her plate. Andre barely touched his meal. He looked at me strangely, as if I were an intruder. After the kids opened their gifts and went to play in their room, he called me. "Dad, come back to my home office. I need to talk to you." My stomach dropped, but I went. The office was at the back of the house, a small room with a dark wooden desk and shelves full of files. It smelled like old paper and printer ink. Tasha came in right behind me and closed the door. Andre pulled up a chair and sat behind the desk. He didn't offer me a seat. I stood, clutching my document bag against my chest. He opened a drawer and pulled out some papers, which he placed on the desk right in front of me. "You need to sign these today." I leaned in to read. They were property transfer documents for my bakery. The Golden Crust, 32 years of work, everything passing into his name. My blood boiled. "Andre, what is this?" "It's the business transfer, Dad. I already spoke with the accountant. Everything's in order. You just need to sign." "But why? Why would I do that?" He sighed, as if I were simple-minded. "Because you've worked enough. It's time to retire, and I'm your son. Who else would take over the business?" I laughed. It wasn't funny at all, but I laughed nervously out of sheer outrage. "Andre, you've lost your mind. I am not signing this." Tasha stepped forward. "Mr. Sterling, don't be stubborn. Andre is doing you a favor. You're getting old. What if something happens to you? The bakery will be abandoned. Better to transfer it to him now." She called me old, as if I were an antique forgotten in a corner. I looked at the two of them, my son and his wife, and I saw something in their eyes that made me tremble. Greed. They weren't worried about me. They wanted to get their hands on the money. "No," I said firmly. "I won't sign. The Golden Crust is mine. I built it brick by brick. No one is going to take that from me." Andre's face hardened. "Dad, don't make me do this the hard way." "The hard way?" I asked, feeling fear creep up my spine. He stood up, tall and broad-shouldered, looking at me as if I were an enemy. "If you don't sign, you'll have to leave." I blinked. I thought I'd misheard. "What?" "You heard me. This house is mine, and if you don't cooperate, then you don't have a place here anymore." My heart hammered. I looked at Tasha. Her arms were crossed, a slight smile twitching at the corner of her mouth. "Andre, are you serious?" "Dead serious. Sign the papers or leave. You choose." I was paralyzed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my son, my only son, the boy I had raised, clothed, fed, sent to school, paid for his education, bought his first car, helped with his wedding. And he was kicking me out on Christmas Eve. "No," I said, my voice trembling. "I am not signing." Andre threw the papers onto the desk. "Then get the hell out of here." He came towards me, grabbed my arm, and dragged me into the hallway. Tasha followed us, yelling, "Get out, you selfish old man. You only think about yourself. You never thought about your son." I tried to shake him off, but he was too strong. He hauled me to the front door. The kids appeared in the hallway, looking terrified. "Grandpa!" shouted CJ. "Shut up!" Tasha yelled at him. Zoe started to cry. Andre opened the door. The cold night air hit my face. He shoved me outside. I nearly fell onto the curb. "And don't come back until you've changed your mind," he said before slamming the door shut. I stood there alone in the middle of the street with an old suitcase in my hand and my document bag hanging from my shoulder. The Christmas lights twinkled on the neighbors' houses, the distant sound of laughter and music, and I was exiled, humiliated, shattered. But I didn't cry, not at that moment, because deep inside my chest, alongside the pain, something new was forming. Rage, determination, and the absolute certainty that my son was going to bitterly regret what he had just done. He didn't know it, but I had prepared for this. And what came next was going to pull the rug out from under him. I am not a man who gives up easily. The Golden Crust didn't fall from the sky. This bakery was not a gift or an inheritance. It was sweat, blood, and tears. And if there is one thing I learned in 67 years of life, it's that no one has the right to take away what we built with our own two hands. Let me take you 32 years back to the day it all began. In 1993, I was 35 years old and had just buried my wife, Denise. My dear Denise died suddenly, leaving me alone with Andre, who was barely 7, with nothing worse than nothing with debt, $30,000. It sounds small today, but back then it was a fortune. Alone, she had taken out loans to try to start a business that never took off, plus hospital bills and funeral expenses. Everything landed on my shoulders. I remember that night when I sat at the kitchen table alone with the bills spread out in front of me, the house empty, Andre asleep in his room, and me not knowing how I was going to pay the next month's rent. I cried. I cried until I had no more tears left. But when the sun came up, I had already made a decision. I wasn't going to sink. I wasn't going to let my son go hungry. I wasn't going to let life crush me. I went to Aunt Lisa. She lived in a small apartment in College Park, but she had a huge heart. I explained the situation. I asked her to loan me $5,000. She looked me in the eye and said, "Marcus, you're going to make it. I have faith in you." With that money, I bought my first merchandise. Flour, yeast, molds, simple things that people needed. Every Saturday and Sunday, I would go to the local flea market. I set up a small stand with one of those blue tarps that shake in the wind. I stayed there from 6 inches the morning until 2 inches the afternoon. The scorching sun on my head, my feet swollen, my hands cracked from handling flour and dough. But I sold. At first it was slow, $50 to $75 a day, but I gained customers. People liked my bread because I would chat, give advice on what to pair it with, and help them choose the best gourmet loaves and sweet rolls. I became well known. Little Andre would come with me, sitting on a wooden crate next to the stand, drawing in an old notebook. Sometimes he'd help me wrap the bread or hold the umbrella when the sun was strong. That boy was my reason for getting up every day. We would come home in the afternoon exhausted. I would cook something quick, rice, pasta, eggs. We'd eat while watching TV. Then I'd give him his bath, tuck him in, and stay up until the early morning hours doing the books, planning what to buy the following week. There was no money left for anything else. New clothes only if they came from the market. Going out? Impossible. I wore the same worn-out shoes for 2 years because I couldn't buy others. But I didn't complain because I had a goal. Every dollar that came in went straight into the business or to Andre. He always had the best I could offer him. Private school, even if I had to make monthly payments. A new uniform every year. Complete school supplies. He never had to feel ashamed in front of his classmates. And when he turned 15, I had saved enough to rent a commercial space in 1990, my first bakery. A small space in Midtown Atlanta, about 400 square feet. But it was mine. The Golden Crust. I named it that because it was bread, and it was golden like the future I wanted for us. I painted the walls yellow and orange cheerful colors. I installed wooden shelves that I sanded and varnished myself. I filled it with products. Loaves, seasonal specialties, cinnamon rolls, pecan sticky buns, everything. On the day of the grand opening, Lisa came with me. She brought a cake. We celebrated just the three of us and Andre, but it was the happiest day of my life until then. I worked from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week, no rest, no vacations. Christmas busy season, I couldn't rest. When Andre came home from school, he came straight to the bakery. He did his homework at the counter while I served customers. Sometimes he would complain, "Dad, why don't we go to the movies? Why don't we travel?" And I always answered the same thing. "Son, we're building our future. One day you'll understand." He grew up there among the sacks of flour and the rolling pins. He learned to answer the phone, wrap the bread, and keep the books. And I built an empire slowly, but I built it. The bakery grew. In 2005, I managed to rent the space next door and double the size. In 2010, I bought the building $385,000 in cash, money I had saved dollar by dollar over the years. In 2015, I renovated everything: air conditioning, new shelves, modern ovens, and automated management system. The Golden Crust became a neighborhood landmark. Customers came from afar. We made deliveries, signed contracts with companies. When I appraised the assets in 2024, the bakery was worth $1, $5 million, almost $2 million. And do you know what I did with all that money over the years? I invested it in Andre. I paid for private school until he finished high school. Business administration studies at a good university, $3,000 a month for 5 years. I bought him a car when he turned 18, a used Honda Civic, but in good condition. I paid for his driver's license. I gave him money for expenses. When he wanted to marry Tasha, I paid for the entire wedding. Banquet, decor, dress, everything. It cost $40,000. I didn't ask for a dime in return. I put the down payment on the apartment they lived in before buying the house. I helped with furniture, with bedding, with everything. Never did I deny my son anything. And what did I receive in return? A shove out the door on Christmas Eve. As I walked alone through the cold streets that night, carrying my old suitcase, I thought about all of this, every sacrifice, every choice I had made, thinking of him. And do you know what hurt the most? It wasn't that he kicked me out. It was that he thought I was stupid, that I wouldn't react, that I would simply accept it and give him everything on a silver platter. Because there is one thing my son forgot. Someone who builds an empire from nothing is not weak. They are not stupid. They are not naive. And over those 32 years of dealing with dishonest suppliers, overdue customers, and unfair competitors, I had learned to protect myself. So as I looked for a cheap motel to spend the night, I already knew exactly what to do. The next morning, my son would discover that he had messed with the wrong man. But for you to truly understand how I got to this, I need to tell you about her, Tasha, the woman who entered my family like a lamb and revealed herself to be a poisonous viper. It was in 2014 that Andre met her. He was 28. He worked as a manager at a construction supply store. He earned reasonably well. He still lived with me, but he was already talking about moving out, having his own life. I even encouraged him. It seemed natural. Children grow up. They want to fly with their own wings. That is, until he came home with her one Sunday. Tasha. She was 23, pretty, I can't deny it. Long brown hair, light eyes, a wide smile. Slim, tall, well-dressed. She wore a floral dress that hugged her body. High-heeled sandals, manicured nails. And she was very polite. She hugged me. She complimented the house and then said, "Andre spoke highly of me. Mr. Sterling, it's so nice to meet you. Andre only says good things about you. He says you're a warrior, an inspiration." I smiled. I even felt flattered. I thought, what a well-mannered young woman. I cooked dinner for them, fried chicken and collard greens because Andre loved it. Tasha ate lightly. She said she was on a diet, but she thanked me profusely. She stayed to help me wash the dishes, chatting, asking me questions about the bakery. I told her a little of the story, how I had started at the flea market, the sacrifice, the struggle. She listened with wide eyes. What an incredible story. You're a success story. I really admire that. At that moment, I believed her. After that day, she started frequenting the house. She always came with Andre. She brought small gifts, nothing expensive, but thoughtful. A cake, some fruit, chocolates, always polite, attentive. About 3 months later, Andre called me to talk. "Dad, I'm in love with Tasha. I want to marry her." My heart tightened, not because I disliked her. So far, she had only been kind. But I knew my son. He was impulsive. He fell in love fast, and marriage is not a game. "Son, you've known each other for such a short time." "I know, Dad, but I'm sure. She's the woman for me." He was decided, and I wasn't going to be the annoying father who got in the way of his son's happiness. So I gave him my blessing. The courtship lasted a year. During that time, I met her family. Tasha's mother, Miss Yvonne, was a seamstress. Her father, Mr. David Hayes, worked as an apartment building watchman. Simple, modest, hard-working people. They lived in a small house in East Point. 3 cramped rooms, a tin roof. There was nothing wrong with that. I also came from modest beginnings. I respected those who worked honestly. But I noticed something. Tasha was ashamed of her roots. When we went to visit her parents, she was tense. She rushed the visit. She found any excuse to leave quickly. And then in the car, she would complain, "Ugh, Andre, my mom is so country. She offers reheated coffee, those old cookies." It bothered me, but I didn't say anything. I thought she was just a young woman trying to appear more sophisticated than she was. The wedding was set for May 2015, and that's when the first problem appeared. They had no money. Andre had about $25,000 saved. Tasha's family couldn't contribute anything, and she wanted a big wedding, an elegant venue, a full buffet, magazine-worthy decorations. "Andre, I've always dreamed of a beautiful wedding. I'm only going to get married once." I saw my son distressed. He wanted to fulfill her dream but didn't have the means. That's when I intervened. "Son, let me help you. I'll pay for the wedding." "Dad, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. You're my only son. I want to see you happy." And I paid $40,000. A venue for 200 people. A full buffet with 3 types of meat. A cocktail bar. A DJ. The entire decoration in white and gold that Tasha chose. Her dress alone cost $8,000. On the wedding day, she was radiant. She looked like a princess, and Andre looked at her as if he had found a treasure. I was happy for him, truly. But deep down, there was a moment during that celebration that left me with a chill in my stomach. It was when I was sitting at a table, resting my feet that ached from standing. Tasha passed near me talking to a friend. They didn't see me, and I heard the friend say, "Tasha, you did it. You found a man with money, with a rich dad. Now all that's left is to enjoy." And Tasha laughed that thin, sharp laugh. "Yes, after so much scarcity, I'm finally going to have a good life." My stomach churned, but I tried to ignore it. I thought it was a joke, some silly thing between envious friends. How foolish I was. After the wedding, they moved into a rented apartment. I paid the deposit. I bought the basic furniture. Tasha wanted everything new, the best. I helped where I could, and that's when she started working at the bakery. She said she wanted to help, that she had studied some administration in a technical course, and that she could be useful. I accepted. I hired her as an administrative manager, paying her a salary of $5,000 a month. At first, she worked well, organizing papers, receiving suppliers, controlling inventory. I thought I had made a good choice. But little by little, I started to notice changes. She would talk to Andre, putting ideas in his head. "Honey, your dad is too controlling. He doesn't let you make any decisions at the bakery. Andre, your dad is getting old. He's not up to date with the market. His strategies are outdated. You should have a bigger say in the company. After all, you're his son. You'll inherit everything someday." And Andre started to change. He became more distant with me, colder. He started questioning my decisions at the bakery, something he had never done. "Dad, why don't you invest in digital marketing? Dad, you should modernize the sales system. Dad, you're losing customers because you don't accept credit cards." I even agreed with some things. I made changes, hired a marketing company, installed a card terminal, modernized the website. But it wasn't enough for him, or rather, for her, because everything Andre said, I knew. First came out of Tasha's mouth. One day, about 2 years after the wedding, I showed up at the bakery unannounced. It was a Saturday morning, very early. I had forgotten a document at home and had returned to look for it. When I pushed the door open, I saw Tasha on the phone, her back to me. She didn't see me come in, and I heard her say, "Don't send the quote directly to my email. Mr. Sterling doesn't need to know. We'll sort it out with him later." My blood boiled. What kind of story was this? I approached her. "Tasha, who are you talking to?" She jumped, hung up quickly. Her face turned red. "Oh, Mr. Sterling, you scared me. It was just a supplier. Nothing important." "What supplier? And why don't you want me to know?" "It's not that, Mr. Sterling. You misunderstood. I just called to confirm a delivery that had been delayed." I wasn't convinced. Later, I started paying attention to everything to her, to every movement, every call, every email, and that's when other problems appeared. Royal Paper, another longtime supplier, called me to say they had received an email asking to cancel our monthly order, an email sent from the bakery computer, but one I hadn't sent. An important client, St. Michael's Academy, which signed a contract with me every year for their summer festival, said they had backed out because they received a cheaper offer from another bakery. When I investigated, I discovered that someone had leaked our quote with all the details. Prices, terms, everything. Guess who had access to the quotes? Tasha. In the following months, the pressure increased. Andre started talking about a partnership. He wanted me to make him a partner in the business, 50% each. "Dad, I'm your son, your only son. It'll be mine someday anyway. Why not do it now?" "Because I'm still alive, Andre, and as long as I'm healthy and fully capable, I'm the one running the Golden Crust. You don't trust me?" "It's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of common sense. I built this alone. I'm not going to give it all away on a silver platter." He was furious, but he couldn't do anything. That's when Tasha started her smear campaign within the family. She called my cousins, my uncles, Aunt Lisa. She cried. She said I was mean to her, that I treated Andre like a child, that I was selfish, that I didn't want to share anything with anyone. Lisa told me, "Marcus, Tasha called me yesterday. She was crying. She says you humiliate her at the bakery, that you won't let Andre grow. Aren't you being a little harsh?" I sighed. "Lisa, you've known me for 67 years. Have I ever been unfair?" She stayed quiet, then muttered, "No, never. I'm sorry, brother. I should have known better." But other relatives believed her and started treating me differently, as if I were the villain of the story. And Andre, he believed every word his wife said. It was in November of 2024 that everything truly deteriorated. I arrived at the bakery and found Andre rummaging through the files in the office papers, scattered, folders open. "What are you doing?" He jumped. "Dad, I was just organizing." "Organizing what?" "Those are confidential documents." "I know, Dad, but I'm your son. I have the right to know." "No, you don't have that right. Not as long as you're not a partner." "Leave that alone." He tossed the files onto the desk, irritated. "You're becoming paranoid. You should go to the doctor." That hurt. It hurts when it comes from your son, the boy you raised, the one you gave everything to, the one you loved more than your own life, and he's treating you like you're crazy. That afternoon, when I closed the bakery and went home, I cried. I cried a lot. But in the middle of the tears, I made a decision. I wasn't going to wait for them to pull a fast one on me. I called my lawyer, Mr. Elijah Stone, and my accountant, Mr. Leonard Bell. I scheduled an appointment for the following week and started preparing my defense plan. Because if 32 years of running a bakery taught me anything, it's that you don't survive in the market by being naive. And if my own son was plotting against me, I was going to protect myself with every weapon at my disposal. Do you know that feeling when you realize you're surrounded, that the walls are closing in, and the air is getting harder and harder to breathe? That's what I felt in October of 2024. Mr. Stone had a small office downtown on the 3rd floor of an older commercial building, but this man had a legal mind, sharp as a razor. I had known him for 15 years since I needed a lawyer to resolve an employment matter at the bakery. I arrived there on a Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Bell, my accountant, was also present, big, bald, thick glasses, but with a sharp eye that missed nothing. I sat on the cracked leather couch in front of the desk and let everything out, every detail. Tasha's calls to suppliers, Andre secretly digging through files, the pressure to hand over the business, the insinuations that I was becoming senile. Mr. Stone listened in silence, writing everything down in a small yellow notebook. When I finished, he took off his glasses and looked at me seriously. Mr. Sterling, you are in danger. A knot formed in my stomach. What do you mean? They are setting up a siege. First, they discredit you. They spread rumors that you have mental problems, that you are no longer capable of managing the business. Then they will petition for a conservatorship, a legal proceeding to remove your civil capacity. They make Andre your conservator, and he takes control of everything. Your business, your accounts, your properties, everything. I felt the floor open beneath my feet. But there's nothing wrong with my mind. I know you are lucid, in good health. But on paper, with witnesses saying the opposite, with bought medical certificates, it's very possible to manipulate the situation. Mr. Bell leaned forward. Mr. Sterling, we must act fast before they take the next step. What do you suggest, gentlemen? Mr. Stone picked up a pen. First, you must protect your assets. Transfer the business to a holding company, of which you are the sole member. Remove Andre from any power of attorney or document he has access to. Second, document everything. Record conversations, save copies of emails, everything. Third, prepare an eviction proceeding for the house where he lives. But the house is already mine. Yes, it's in your name since the purchase. Andre lives there, but he is not the owner. If you wish, you can reclaim the property. I took a deep breath. Do what is necessary. I trust you. In the following weeks, we worked in total silence. No one should know, not Aunt Lisa, who had a loose tongue, nor the bakery employees. Mr. Bell created a family holding company, the Golden Crust Holdings LLC, and transferred all the company's assets, the commercial space, the inventory, the accounts, everything, to this new legal entity. I was the sole member. Neither Andre nor Tasha had the slightest stake. Mr. Stone prepared the documents for the revocation of power of attorney. Andre had an old power of attorney that I had given him years ago, thinking it would be useful. We revoked everything. And I started documenting. I bought a small, discreet voice recorder that fit in the palm of my hand. Every time Andre or Tasha came to talk to me, I recorded it. I started taking screenshots of suspicious emails. I kept everything in a hidden folder on my computer. I made backups on a USB drive that I hid in an old cookie tin in my pantry. And that's how I got the proof I needed. It was a Saturday afternoon, late October. I had closed the bakery early. I told the employees I was going to handle some bank business, but I returned secretly. I entered through the back door, very quietly. I heard voices in the office, Andre and Tasha. I hid in the hallway, the recorder on. Honey, he's not going to give you the business willingly. Tasha's voice was cold, calculating. We have to force things. But how? Andre sounded unsure. Conservatorship. My cousin is a lawyer. He says it's possible. We find 2 or 3 witnesses to say your dad is getting senile. We get a psychiatric certificate done, and boom, you become his conservator. But he's not senile, Tasha. He's fine. Andre, wake up. Your dad is going to die someday, and you're going to wait to inherit when we could have everything now? Silence. Then his voice lower. I don't know, honey. It feels wrong. What's wrong? Him being selfish? You worked in that bakery your whole life. You deserve your share. I haven't worked in the bakery my whole life. He's the one who worked. It doesn't matter. You're his only son. It's yours by right. And he denies it to you. He humiliates you. Don't you see it? Another longer silence. Okay. Let's do it. My heart broke at that precise moment, my son, my only son, agreeing to betray me, to take everything from me. I left there trembling. I went straight to Mr. Stone's office. I showed him the recording. He listened to the whole thing, then looked at me, his face grim. Mr. Sterling, now we have ammunition. This is evidence of bad faith, of attempted undue appropriation. Can you sue them? Not yet, I said. my voice firm despite the pain in my chest. I want to see how far they go. I want to be absolutely sure that there's no turning back. Because deep down, very deep down, I still had hope that my son would wake up, that he would realize what he was doing. But in November, that hope died forever. Andre invited me to dinner, just the two of us. He said he needed to talk to me, that it was important. I accepted. Maybe he wanted to apologize. Maybe he had realized his mistake. We went to a simple restaurant near the bakery. We ordered. He nervously played with his food. "Dad, I'm worried about you." "Worried about what?" "You're distracted, confused. Last week you called the same supplier 3 times asking the same thing. Lies, outright lies." "Andre, that never happened." "Yes, Dad," the employees commented. "They're worried. More lies." "What employees?" "Tasha, the people in the warehouse." "And Dad, I think you should get checked out, see a doctor. Maybe it's just stress, fatigue, but it's good to check." I looked him in the eyes, those eyes I had known since he was a baby, and I saw coldness, calculation. "Andre, I am not sick. And if I were, you would be the first person I would tell. But I'm not going to see any doctor because I don't need one." He sighed theatrically. "See, Dad? You won't accept help. That's a sign that there's a problem." I got up from the table. "This conversation is over." "Dad, wait. You don't know what you're doing, Andre." "But I do, and I guarantee you one thing. You won't get away with it." I walked out of the restaurant, paid my share of the check at the counter, and left. That night, I called Mr. Stone. "Prepare everything. I want the documents ready. I want the notifications prepared. I'm just waiting for them to take the next step." And the next step came on Christmas, because greed doesn't pick a date. It doesn't respect the occasion. It has no heart. And that Christmas Eve, when my son kicked me out, he didn't know he had just dug his own grave. I had prepared everything, every document, every procedure, every piece of evidence, and the next morning, when he thought he had won, I was going to show him what a 6-7-year-old man who built an empire from nothing is capable of when betrayed by his own blood. I woke up early that day. The sky was still a little dark, that morning coolness that precedes the heat of the day. I had my coffee alone, as always. Toast with butter, black coffee, a piece of fruit. I looked at the wrapped gifts in the living room. The red bicycle for CJ, the right size for his age with gears and everything. The dollhouse for Zoe, 3 stories with lights that actually turned on. Complete furniture, $300 in total. But they were worth every cent just to imagine my grandkids' little faces. I got ready carefully. I put on my navy blue silk shirt, the one Andre had given me for my birthday 2 years before. I put on my gold chain, the only piece of valuable jewelry I had inherited from my mother. I put on a bit of cologne. I took one last look in the mirror. A 6-7-year-old man, gray hair, wrinkles of someone who has worked hard all his life, but with his head held high, his gaze firm. I took the gifts, put them in the car, and left. Andre's house was in a Decatur subdivision, 3 bedrooms, a deck, a garage for 2 cars. I had paid the $40,000 down payment on that house. The rest they had financed. But the property was in my name, an important detail that Andre seemed to have forgotten. Other cars were already outside. I recognized Miss Yvonne's old silver Chevy. His in-laws had been invited. I rang the doorbell. Zoe came to open it, all cheerful, in her red dress, with a white bow. "Grandpa!" She jumped into my arms. I hugged that little body that smelled like baby soap and strawberry shampoo. My heart tightened. CJ appeared right behind her in shorts and a Yankees t-shirt. "Grandpa, did you bring gifts?" "Yes, my love, but you can only open them after dinner." "Ah," he pouted but accepted. I went into the house. The living room was decorated. A Christmas tree in the corner full of gold and red ornaments, lights twinkling in the window. The table was set with a white tablecloth, red napkins, and a floral arrangement in the center. Tasha was in the kitchen. When she saw me, she gave a half smile. "Hello, Mr. Sterling. Have a seat. We're about to serve." I greeted Miss Yvonne and Mr. David, good, simple people. They hugged me, treated me kindly. Andre was on the deck looking at his phone. He looked up when I walked in. He gave a nod. He didn't even come over to hug me, didn't even greet me properly. I felt the heavy atmosphere immediately, but I took a deep breath. It was Christmas Eve, a family holiday. Everything would be fine. Dinner was served. Honey-glazed ham, mac and cheese, apple salad, rice with raisins, everything nice, well made. Tasha had put in the effort, but the table was silent. Only the children chatted, talking about school and their friends. The adults ate slowly, exchanging glances. Miss Yvonne tried to start a conversation. "And the bakery, Mr. Sterling? How are the end-of-year sales?" "Good, thank God. December is always a busy month, lots of company receptions, graduation parties. That's good. You work so hard. You deserve the success." She smiled. Tasha cut a piece of ham forcefully. The knife scraped the plate, making that sharp noise. "Yes, he works so hard, he doesn't have time for anything else." I looked at her. "What?" "Nothing, Mr. Sterling. Just a comment," but the tone was sharp, venomous. We finished eating. The children ran to the living room, impatient for the gifts. I helped clear the table, carrying the dishes to the kitchen. That's when Andre appeared behind me. "Dad, come to the office. I need to talk to you." My stomach churned, but I went. The office was small. Dark wooden desk, swivel chair, shelves with files and books. It smelled like paper and printer ink. Tasha entered behind me, closing the door. Andre pulled up a chair and sat behind the desk. He didn't offer me a seat. I stood there, clutching my bag against my chest. He opened a drawer, took out a green folder, and placed it open on the desk. They were documents, white sheets full of legal text. At the top, in large letters, "Commercial Property Transfer Deed." My blood boiled. "What is this?" "It's the transfer of the Golden Crust to my name. Everything is ready. All it needs is your signature." He pushed a pen in my direction. I took the papers, reading quickly. Total transfer, no clauses, no conditions. I was yielding everything. He was becoming the absolute owner. "Andre, are you crazy?" "No, Dad. I'm sensible. You've worked enough. It's time to retire, and I'm your son. Who else would take over the business? But why like this? Why now, on Christmas?" Tasha stepped forward. "Because it has to be now, Mr. Sterling. You're getting old. You're becoming forgetful. You're no longer capable of managing anything. And Andre is your son, your only heir. It makes sense to transfer it now, while you're still alive, to see him run the business." I looked at her, this woman I had welcomed, given a job to, treated like my daughter, and I saw only greed, pure evil. "I won't sign," I said firmly. "Dad, don't be stubborn." "It's not stubbornness, Andre. It's common sense. This business is mine. I built it with my own hands. 32 years of work. Do you think I'm going to just give it away because you asked me to? It's not given away. It's by right. I'm your son. And that gives you the right to take what's mine?" He stood up, tall and stocky, looking down at me. "Dad, don't make me do this the hard way." "And what's the hard way?" "Conservatorship. We start a proceeding. We prove that you no longer have all your mental faculties. I become your conservator. Then I transfer everything to my name anyway." There was the final threat. "You wouldn't do that." "Yes, I would." Tasha crossed her arms. "And he will if you keep being selfish." Selfish, she called me selfish. I, who had given everything to my son, who had sacrificed myself, who had worked until my bones ached, and they were calling me selfish because I wouldn't give away my life's work on a silver platter. "No," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "I'm not signing, and I will not let you steal from me." Andre's face hardened. "Then get the hell out of here." I blinked. "What?" "You heard me. This house is mine, and if you don't want to cooperate, you don't have a place here anymore. Grab your things and go." My heart raced. I looked at Tasha. Her arms were crossed, a slight smile twitching at the corner of her mouth. "Andre, are you serious?" "Dead serious. Sign the papers or leave. You choose." I was paralyzed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my son, my only son, the boy I had raised, clothed, fed, sent to school, paid for his education, bought his first car, helped with his wedding. And he was kicking me out on Christmas Eve. "No," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm not signing." Andre threw the papers onto the desk. "Then, get the hell out of here." He came towards me, grabbed my arm, and dragged me into the hallway. Tasha followed us, yelling, "Get out, you miserable old man. You only think about yourself. You never thought about your son." I tried to shake him off, but he was too strong. He hauled me to the front door. The kids appeared in the hallway, terrified. "Grandpa!" shouted CJ. "Shut up!" Tasha yelled at him. Zoe started to cry. Andre opened the door. The cold night air hit my face. He shoved me outside. I nearly fell onto the curb. "And don't come back until you've changed your mind," he said before slamming the door shut. I stood there alone in the middle of the street with an old suitcase in my hand and my document bag hanging from my shoulder. The Christmas lights twinkled on the neighbors' houses, the distant sound of laughter and music. And I was exiled, humiliated, shattered. But I didn't cry, not at that moment, because deep inside my chest, alongside the pain, something new was forming. Rage, determination, and the absolute certainty that my son was going to bitterly regret what he had just done. Have you ever spent a Christmas Eve alone in a cheap motel, listening to the sound of distant fireworks while feeling your heart break into pieces? I walked aimlessly for about 20 minutes, the lights of the houses twinkling, families gathered, children playing, and me dragging my old suitcase along the sidewalk, feeling the weight of 67 years on my shoulders. I stopped at a corner. I pulled out my cell phone. I thought about calling Aunt Lisa, but it was Christmas. She was with her family. I wasn't going to ruin my sister's night with my problems. I opened the search app. I typed available motel nearby. Several options appeared. I chose the cheapest one, Colonial Inn, $95 a night, 3-star rating. The photos showed a small, simple room. Twin bed, small bathroom. I called an Uber. 10 minutes later, I was at the motel door. It was a low, 2-story building, the facade painted faded yellow, a small sign with burned-out bulbs, a tiny reception area, scratched wooden counter. It smelled of dampness and disinfectant. The young man at the front desk looked about 20, with sleepy eyes and a wrinkled t-shirt. He must have thought it strange to see an older gentleman alone asking for a room on Christmas Eve. "Good evening. I need a room." He looked surprised. "Just for you? How many nights?" I took a deep breath. "One for now." He typed on his old computer, the sound of keys clacking in the silence. $95. Cash only. "Yes." I pulled the bills from my wallet, my hands trembling. He gave me the key. Room 207, second floor. I went up. Every step weighed a ton. Narrow hallway, walls with peeling paint, a fluorescent lamp blinking. I opened the room door. It was exactly like the photos. Small twin bed with a faded floral comforter, an old lamp on the nightstand, a tiny bathroom, a window with a thin curtain facing the street. I closed the door. I locked it. I leaned against it and broke down. I cried like I hadn't cried in years, sobs that came from the depths of my soul, hot tears rolling down my face, washing away my cologne. I sat on the edge of the bed, that hard, strange bed that wasn't mine, in a room that smelled of mothballs and loneliness. And I thought, how did I get here? How is it that I, who built a business from nothing, who raised a son alone, who fought my whole life, find myself exiled, humiliated, thrown into the street like garbage by my own son? I picked up my cell phone. I looked at his baby pictures. Andre, newborn in the hospital, wrapped in blue cloth. First day of school with a backpack bigger than him. High school graduation in his cap and gown. A wide smile. His wedding next to Tasha, both radiant. Where had I gone wrong? I had given him everything. Love, education, opportunities, money. I had sacrificed my life for his dreams. And he had paid me back with betrayal. I put away my cell phone. I got up. I went to the bathroom. I washed my face. The hot water burned my skin. I looked in the cracked mirror. A tired old man looked back at me. Red eyes, deep wrinkles, messy hair. But in the eyes of that old man was something that wasn't dead, the fighting spirit. I dried my face. I went back to the room. I picked up my cell phone again. It was 11:30 p.m. I took a deep breath. I dialed a number. 3 rings. 4. Hello? The hoarse voice of Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone. It's me, Marcus. Mr. Sterling? Is everything all right? It's Christmas Eve. I know. I'm sorry to call so late, but it happened. He kicked me out. He made me leave because I wouldn't sign the business transfer papers. Silence on the other end. Then, where are you? In a motel, Colonial Inn. Just send me the address. I'll come right over? It's not necessary, Mr. Stone. I don't want to ruin your night. Mr. Sterling, send me the address now. I obeyed. 10 minutes later, he was knocking on the door. Mr. Stone walked into the room with a briefcase under his arm, wrinkled suit, loose tie, messy hair, but a firm, determined look. Tell me everything. I told him every detail. The dinner, the office, the papers, the threats, the shove, the door closing in my face. He listened, taking notes. When I finished, he closed his notebook. Mr. Sterling, now we have everything we need. Coercion, attempted undue appropriation, eviction of a senior citizen, that's a felony. We can prosecute him criminally. I don't want to sue my son. My voice was weak. Then what do you want? I took a deep breath. I want justice. I want him to learn. I want my house back, my peace, my dignity. Mr. Stone leaned forward. Then let's do this. Tomorrow morning, the 25th, I'll contact the duty judge. Eviction proceeding for the house, you are the owner. It's in your name. He lives there as a gratuitous occupant, and a gratuitous occupant cannot evict the owner. How long will that take? Given the seriousness of the situation, a 6-7-year-old man evicted on Christmas Eve, the judge will order it immediately. We'll have a process server there tomorrow around 2:00 the afternoon. My heart sped up. Tomorrow? So soon? Tomorrow, justice can be slow for many things. But violence against seniors is a priority. And what they admitted falls into that category. He opened his briefcase, pulled out other documents. Here is also the notification regarding the revocation of the powers of attorney and a temporary injunction blocking any movement on his part in the company accounts. He won't be able to withdraw a single dollar without your authorization. I looked at those papers, my salvation, my vengeance, my protection. Do everything, counselor. Everything. He smiled, a tired but firm smile. Everything will be fine, Mr. Sterling. You were smart. You protected yourself in advance. Now we are just executing the plan. He left shortly after midnight. He left me alone in that room, but I no longer felt so lost. I lay down on the bed. The mattress was hard, the sheets rough. Outside, I heard fireworks. Midnight. Christmas. I picked up my cell phone. I went to the family group. There were messages. Merry Christmas, everyone. God bless our family. Cousins sending photos of dinners, hugs, smiles. No message from Andre, but there was one from Tasha. Merry Christmas, Mr. Sterling. May the new year bring you wisdom. That viper had the nerve to talk about wisdom. I didn't reply. I just turned off my cell phone, closed my eyes, and for the first time in several hours, I could take a deep breath, because I knew one thing they didn't know. Tomorrow, when they thought they had won, when they celebrated their victory, justice was going to knock on their door. Then my son would discover what it means to mess with a man who has spent his whole life fighting a man who does not give up, a man who, even on his knees, still knows how to get up. There are things in life you never forget. Your first kiss, the birth of a child, the day you achieve something you dreamed of your whole life. For me, December 25th, 2024, entered that list, but not for the reasons you might imagine. I woke up at 6 inches the morning. The sun hadn't fully risen yet. The motel was silent. No one was moving in the hallways. All of Atlanta was still asleep after the Christmas celebration. But I couldn't stay still. I showered. I got dressed. I brushed my teeth, looking at myself in the mirror of that tiny bathroom, and I saw a determination in my eyes that I hadn't seen in a long time. 7:30 inches the morning. Mr. Craster. Stone called me. Mr. Sterling. I already got the judge's order. Immediate eviction granted. The process server, Mr. Jones, will be at the house at 2 o'clock this afternoon. My heart raced. 2 in the afternoon today? Today. The judge considered the seriousness of the situation. A senior citizen evicted from his own property on Christmas Eve. He didn't hesitate. And Andre will have to leave? You'll have 48 hours to vacate the property. But the notification arrives today. There's more. Along with the eviction, the notification about the company account block and the revocation of powers of attorney will also arrive. I sat on the edge of the bed. All at once? It's the cascade effect, Mr. Sterling. When you act at the right moment with the right evidence, justice acts fast. I hung up. I sat there processing the information. In a few hours, everything was going to change. My son was going to discover that he had underestimated his own father. I ate something at a cafe near the motel. Toast with butter, black coffee. I wasn't hungry, but I needed energy. I walked aimlessly through the streets. Atlanta was empty, businesses closed, a few cars. The day after Christmas is always like that. Everyone resting, digesting Christmas dinner, enjoying family. Everyone but me. 1:30 inches the afternoon. My cell phone rang. Mr. Stone. Mr. Sterling. Mr. Jones is on his way. He'll be at the house in 15 minutes. Do you want to go too? I thought about it. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to see the look on my son's face when he received those papers. But something inside me told me no. No, counselor. I don't need to be there. Let justice do its work. Are you sure? I'm sure. Call me when it's done. I will. I sat on a park bench, just looking at the trees, the blue sky, the white clouds, and waited. 2:15 p.m. The phone rang again, but it wasn't Mr. Stone. It was Andre. My hand trembled. I answered. Hello? Dad, what did you do? He was shouting. His voice was desperate, hysterical. I took a deep breath. I protected myself, Andre. That's all. A process server just came saying I have to vacate the house, that the house is yours. The house has always been mine. You knew that. But I live here. My kids live here. And I was your father. And you threw me out yesterday. Silence on the other end. Just his heavy breathing. Then Tasha's voice in the background. Call the lawyer. Call Stone now. And Andre again. Dad, you can't do this. It's Christmas. There are kids. You shouldn't have done what you did yesterday either. But you did. Dad, please. Andre, you have 48 hours to vacate the property. Read the notice. Everything is explained there. Dad, wait, don't hang up. But I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating irregularly. But I had no regrets. 2 minutes later, another call. Tasha, I answered. Mr. Sterling, you're crazy. You can't do this to us. Yes, I can. And I just did. There are children here. You're going to throw your grandkids into the street? You threw their grandfather out yesterday. Why couldn't I? She was left speechless. Then, we'll go to court. We'll nullify this. Try it. But you won't succeed. Because the house is mine. It always has been. And you live there by my grace. A grace that ran out when you put me out. You miserable old man. We should have had you committed when we had the chance. And she hung up. I put away my cell phone. I stood looking at the horizon. 3 p.m. Mr. Stone called. Mr. Sterling, everything is done. Mr. Jones delivered all 3 notifications. Eviction, company account block, and revocation of powers of attorney. The young man went white when he read them. The lady got hysterical. They said they would consult a lawyer. Let them. It won't do them any good. The documentation is impeccable. You are the rightful owner. They have no right to the property or the business. And how long before they have to leave? 48 hours until the 27th. If they don't leave voluntarily, we will request a forcible police eviction order. We hung up. I stayed there processing everything. I had done it. I had really fought back. I had reclaimed what was mine. But do you know what I felt at that moment? It wasn't joy. It wasn't satisfaction. It was emptiness. Because even though my son had betrayed me, even though he had hurt me, he was still my son, and a father does not celebrate when he has to fight against his own blood. I went back to the motel. I spent the rest of the day lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. The phone rang several times. Andre, Tasha, even Aunt Lisa, who had found out somehow. I didn't answer anyone. I just wanted silence. At night, I ordered food through an app, a simple burger. I ate without appetite, just to keep from getting sick. And I thought, what now? I had regained my house. I had protected my business. I had taught my son a lesson. But what would come next? Would he learn, or would he hate me forever? And the grandkids, what would my relationship with them be like? These questions kept me from sleeping. But one thing I knew for sure, I wasn't going to back down. Because if 67 years of life taught me anything, it's that you cannot let others walk all over you, even when those others are your own family. Early in the morning on the 26th, the phone rang, unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? Mr. Sterling, it's Candace. We met at a supplier fair last year. Do you remember? Candace, a woman in her 40s, competent, serious. She worked for an event company. Yes, I remember. Hello, Candace. Is everything all right? Yes. Look, I heard you had some problems with your business. Well, I'm looking to change fields. I wanted to know if maybe you need someone to help manage the Golden Crust. I stayed silent, thinking. An administrator, exactly what I needed. Candace, is this something you can discuss in more detail? Of course. Whenever you like. We scheduled a coffee meeting for that afternoon. And that's how, in the middle of the chaos, I started to rebuild. Because life doesn't wait for us to fully recover, to move forward. Life continues, and we either continue with it or get left behind. And I had no intention of getting left behind. That afternoon, I met Candace Jones at a cafe in Little 5 Points. She arrived on time, dressed professionally but not over the top. White shirt, black pants, briefcase in hand. We sat down. We ordered coffee. Mr. Sterling, I'll be direct. I knew what happened with your daughter-in-law. Tasha spoke ill of you to several suppliers, saying you were losing your mind. But I know you. I know how you work. You are an honest, hard-working man. And if you're looking for administrative help, I'd like to be considered. Her honesty surprised me. Why do you want to leave your current job? Because I've been in events for 5 years, and it no longer fulfills me. I want something more stable, something where I can really build. And the Golden Crust has a good reputation. We talked for an hour. Her experience, her ideas, her vision. I liked her. She was practical, honest, direct. Candace, I'll be honest with you. My business is going through a complicated time, family problems that affected operations. I need someone I can trust, someone loyal. I understand, Mr. Sterling, and I can be that person. Give me the opportunity to prove it to you. I gave her the opportunity. She would start on January 2nd, a salary of $6,000 a month, plus benefits. She accepted without hesitation. I left that cafe feeling a little better, a little more complete, because in the midst of betrayal, in the midst of pain, there were still good people, honest people, people I could trust. On December 27th, the last day of the eviction deadline, my cell phone rang early in the morning. It was Andre. I answered, Dad. His voice sounded different, softer, broken. Tell me. We've packed. We're leaving today. We rented a small apartment in a less expensive area. We didn't have enough savings for anything better. Silence. The kids miss you. Zoe is crying. She asks why Grandpa is angry. My heart tightened, but I stood firm. Andre, this didn't have to happen. You could have chosen differently. You could have respected me. I know, Dad. I know now. And Tasha, what does she say? She's cold. She says you ruined everything, that I never should have asked you for anything, that we should have done the conservatorship without telling you. So she still doesn't understand. She doesn't, Dad, but I think I do. Oh? What do you understand? He took a deep breath. That I was wrong. That I let myself be manipulated. That I lost sight of what really mattered. And that I treated the man who gave me everything as if he were my enemy. Tears burned my eyes, but I held them back. Andre, yes, Dad? Do you really mean it? Or is this just because you lost? A long silence. Maybe a little bit of both. But the pain I feel is real. The regret is real. I didn't know what to say. Dad, is there any way to fix this? I don't know, Andre. I don't know. Can I at least bring the kids over so they can say goodbye? So they know you're not mad at them? My heart broke. Yes, bring them. 2 hours later, they were at the door of my house, the house that was now mine again. I opened the door. CJ and Zoe ran towards me. They hugged my legs. Grandpa, are you not mad anymore? Zoe asked with her teary eyes. I knelt down. I hugged them both. I was never mad at you, my loves. Never. Then why do we have to leave? Asked CJ. Because sometimes adults make mistakes, and there are consequences. But that doesn't mean Grandpa doesn't love you. I hugged them tight. They smelled like baby shampoo and innocence, everything that was pure in this complicated world. Andre was standing at the entrance. He didn't come in. He just watched from afar. When the children left, he approached. Dad, I'm truly sorry. I looked him in the eyes. I saw regret, but I also saw fear. Fear of losing the money or fear of losing me. I wasn't sure yet. Andre, words are easy. Actions are what count. I know, and I'm going to prove it to you. I don't know how yet, but I will. He left. He got into his old car where Tasha was waiting for him with a scowl on her face. I watched them drive away and stood there at the entrance of my house, the one I had bought with my sweat, the one that was now mine again. I walked in, closed the door. The house was empty, silent, but it was mine. And for the first time in days, I felt something akin to peace. The following days were strange. The house felt too big, too silent. Every corner reminded me of something. The living room where Andre played as a child, the kitchen where I prepared breakfast before taking him to the flea market, the room that had been his for so many years. But I also felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. I didn't have to walk on eggshells. I didn't have to worry about what they were plotting behind my back. I didn't have to listen to insinuations about my mental health or my capability. It was my space, my peace. On January 2nd, Candace started working at the Golden Crust. She arrived early, 7 inches the morning. I was already there as always, preparing the oven, checking inventory, serving the first customers of the day. Good morning, Mr. Sterling. I turned around. There she was, dressed professionally. Trousers, white blouse, hair tied back, briefcase in hand, and a genuine smile. Good morning, Candace. Welcome to the Golden Crust. I showed her everything. The office, the inventory system, accounts receivable and payable, supplier contracts, everything. She took notes, asked intelligent questions, and wrote everything down on a tablet. Mr. Sterling, I see you have several suppliers who haven't delivered on time in recent months. Can I contact them to check what happened? Yes, but do it carefully. Some were contacted before by my daughter-in-law, saying things that weren't true. She nodded. I understand. I'll be clear with them. I'll tell them there's new management and that we want to resume commercial relations on good terms. And that's what she did. In 1 week, Candace had contacted all the problematic suppliers. She explained the situation without going into personal details. She just said there had been a misunderstanding, that Mr. Sterling was perfectly fine, and that the Golden Crust continued to be a solid and reliable business. The suppliers responded well. Valley Mills resumed punctual deliveries. Royal Paper reinstated the contract. Even St. Michael's Academy called, asking if we could still provide for their summer festival. Of course, I said. We'd be delighted. Sales began to improve. Customers who had left were returning. The bakery was regaining its rhythm, and I was slowly regaining my confidence. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after the eviction, I was closing the bakery when my cell phone rang, unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? Mr. Sterling? It's Yvonne, Tasha's mother. A knot formed in my stomach. Mrs. Yvonne, how are you? Fine, thank you. Look, Mr. Sterling, I'm calling because I need to talk to you. Could we meet? Have a coffee? I hesitated. What would she want? Was she coming to complain? To defend her daughter? All right. Where? Whenever you like. I can accommodate. We arranged to meet the next day at a cafe near my house. I arrived on time. She was already there, sitting at a back table with a steaming cup of coffee in front of her. She was dressed neatly. Long skirt, floral blouse, knitted sweater. She looked tired. I sat down opposite her. Miss Yvonne. Mr. Sterling, thank you for coming. We ordered coffee. There was an uncomfortable silence. Then she spoke. Mr. Sterling, I've come to apologize. I blinked. Apologize? Yes, for my daughter. For what she did to you. For what they said to you. She lowered her gaze. I raised Tasha the best I could. My husband and I didn't have much, but we gave her values. We taught her to work, to be honest. But at some point we lost her. Her voice cracked. She wiped a tear with a napkin. She always wanted more. She always wanted to be someone she wasn't. She was ashamed of us, of our humble little house, of our work. And when she met Andre, when she saw that you had money, that you had a business, I saw that gleam in her eyes, and it scared me, she continued. I warned her. I told her, daughter, money isn't everything. Mr. Sterling is a good man. Respect him. But she didn't listen. And now look, living in a small apartment in a bad neighborhood, Andre working as a delivery driver because no one else will hire him. The children sad. I didn't know that, I said softly. Yes, Mr. Sterling, I haven't come to ask you to forgive them. I haven't come to ask you to give them the business. I just came to tell you that I am sorry that as a mother I failed, and that if I could change what happened, I would. I looked into her eyes. I saw sincerity. I saw pain. I saw genuine repentance. Mrs. Yvonne, it's not your fault. Everyone makes their own choices. Tasha is an adult. Andre is an adult. They chose. I know, but it still hurts. I nodded. Yes, it hurts a lot. We finished our coffee in silence. When she left, I stayed sitting there thinking Andre was working as a delivery driver. The children were sad. And I had my business, my house, my dignity. Had I won, or had we all lost? That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed, thinking about my grandkids, CJ and Zoe, about their little faces when they hugged me that day, about their voices asking why they had to leave. They weren't to blame. They were innocent. The next morning, I called Mr. Stone. Counselor, I need to establish an educational trust fund. For whom? For my grandkids, CJ and Zoe. I want to ensure they have money for their education, college, whatever they need. But neither Andre nor Tasha can touch that money, only for the kids. Excellent idea, Mr. Sterling. How much do you want to put in? $150,000 to start. I'll prepare it. A week later, an untouchable educational trust fund was signed for my grandkids for their future. Because they didn't deserve to pay for their parents' mistakes. The weeks passed. January turned into February. The bakery was doing well. Candace proved to be an excellent administrator. Honest, hardworking, loyal. One afternoon, I was reviewing the books when she walked into the office. Mr. Sterling, there's someone outside who wants to see you. Who? Andre. My heart stopped. What does he want? I don't know. He just asked if he could talk to you. He says it's important. I took a deep breath. Tell him to come in. Andre walked in. He looked different. Thinner, simple clothes, jeans and a t-shirt. No expensive watch. No air of superiority. He looked humble. Hi, Dad. Andre, can we talk? He sat down. Candace left and closed the door. Dad, I came to tell you something. Tasha and I are separating. I didn't expect that. What? Yes. It's not working anymore. She keeps blaming me for everything. She says I should have done the conservatorship without telling you, that I should have forged your signature, that I'm a coward. He lowered his gaze, and I realized she was right, not for the reason she says, but because I was a coward. Cowardly for letting myself be manipulated. Cowardly for betraying you. Cowardly for not defending my own father. His voice cracked. Dad, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did is unforgivable. I kicked you out of your own house on Christmas Eve. I treated you like garbage. I tried to steal what you built with your sweat. Tears rolled down his face. But I need you to know something. I am truly repentant, not because I lost, not because I'm broke, but because I lost something much more valuable. I lost your respect. I lost your trust. And maybe I lost you. I looked at him, my son, my only blood, crying in front of me, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Compassion. Andre. Yes, Dad? Do you really mean it? Or are you just here because things went badly for you? I really mean it, Dad. I've had a lot of time to think, working 12 hours a day as a delivery driver, earning minimum wage, seeing my kids ask about their grandfather. I realized what really matters. And what matters is family, honesty, respect, the things you taught me that I forgot. Silence. Dad, I'm not asking you for the business. I'm not asking you for money. I'm just asking you for a chance to show you I've changed. How? Let me work here at the bottom, baker's assistant, whatever. Don't pay me if you don't want to. Just let me be near you again. Let me learn again, like when I was a kid. I stayed silent, processing his words. Was it real, or was it another manipulation? Andre, if I give you this chance and you betray me again, it's over forever. Do you understand? Yes, Dad, I understand. You'll come in at 4 inches the morning. You'll help prepare the bread. You'll do what Candace tells you. You'll earn a normal employee wage, no privileges, no exceptions. Whatever you say, Dad. And Tasha does not set foot in this bakery ever again. We're getting divorced. She's going back to live with her parents. I nodded. All right. Start Monday. He stood up. He came toward me and hugged me for the first time in months. I hugged my son, and I cried. I cried for everything we had lost, for all the pain, for all the betrayal. But I also cried with hope that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild what had been broken. On Monday, Andre arrived at 4 inches the morning, punctual. Candace was there, supervising. Andre, you'll start by cleaning the trays. Then you'll help with the kneading. Mr. Sterling will teach you. Yes, ma'am. I watched him work. Hands in the dough, sweat on his forehead. No complaints, just like when he was a boy, and came with me to the flea market. The weeks passed. Andre worked hard. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for anything. He just worked. On weekends, he brought the children. CJ and Zoe ran through the bakery, helped wrap bread, and ate freshly baked sweet rolls. And I slowly felt my family rebuilding. It wasn't like before. It would never be like before. Trust had been broken, and it would take years to rebuild. But at least we were together again. At least we were trying. One afternoon after closing, Andre approached. Dad, can I tell you something? Sure. Thank you. For what? For giving me another chance. For not giving up on me. For teaching me, even if it's late, what it really means to be a man. I put my hand on his shoulder. Andre, you were always my son, and you always will be. You made mistakes, big mistakes, but everyone deserves a second chance. Do you really forgive me, Dad? I thought about it. Forgiveness isn't something you give overnight. It's something built with actions, with time, with proof that you've truly changed. Then I'm going to build it. I promise you. And so far, he has kept his promise. Months have passed. Andre is still working at the bakery, learning the business from scratch, earning the trust of the employees, earning my trust. Tasha divorced him and left. The children stayed with Andre, and I see them every weekend. The Golden Crust continues to prosper. Candace turned out to be the best decision I made. And I, at 67, learned something important. Sometimes defending what is yours means losing those you love. But if they truly love you, they will find their way back. It's not always about winning or losing. Sometimes it's about standing firm in your principles and waiting for others to decide if they want to live up to them. Andre decided to, and that's why I have hope today. Will it be easy? No. Will it be like before? Never. But it is a beginning, and sometimes a beginning is all you need. It has been 6 months since that Christmas Eve, 6 months since my life turned upside down, 6 months since I had to make the most difficult decisions of my life. And today, sitting in the Golden Crust office, watching through the window as Andre teaches CJ how to knead bread, I realize something. I don't regret anything. Was it painful? Yes. Was it devastating? Of course. Would I do it again? Without hesitation, because there is something I have learned in these 67 years of life. Something I want to share with all of you watching me, from your homes, from your jobs, from wherever you are. Never, ever allow anyone to take away what you built with your own 2 hands, not even your family, especially your family. Because when you allow them to disrespect you, when you allow them to walk all over you, you're not just hurting yourself, you're teaching them that it's okay to treat people that way. You're teaching them that manipulation works, that betrayal has a reward, and that is not the lesson any father should give his child. I'll tell you how everyone is now, because this story doesn't end with revenge. It ends with lessons. Andre works at the Golden Crust from Monday to Friday, from 4 inches the morning to 2 inches the afternoon. He earns $2,000 a month. It's not much, but it's honest. And he's learning, really learning, not just how to bake bread. He's learning what it means to build something from scratch, what it means to get up when it's still dark outside, what it means to serve customers with a smile even when you're tired, what it means to be humble. On weekends, he has the children, and he brings them here. CJ is now 10 years old and wants to be a baker like his grandfather. Zoe is 7 and says that when she grows up, she's going to have her own bakery, but one with cakes. Grandpa pink cakes with lots of frosting. I laugh every time she says it. The trust fund I set up for them is growing. By the time CJ turns 18 and goes to college, there will be enough money for his entire career, the same for Zoe. No matter what happens, no matter the decisions their parents make, their education will be secure, because no one can take that away from them. Tasha left. She went back to live with her parents in East Point. According to Miss Yvonne, she found a job at a department store. She earns little and lives with resentment. She still blames everyone but herself. Some people never learn. The divorce was finalized 3 months ago. Andre has full custody of the children. Tasha sees them every 2 weeks, but she doesn't even always show up. She always has an excuse. The children don't even ask about her anymore. It hurts to see that, because even though Tasha hurt me, she is still their mother. And no child should grow up feeling that their mother doesn't want them. But that's how things are. Sometimes, not everything has a happy ending. Candace is still my right-hand woman. Her salary is now $8,000 a month, plus bonuses. She deserves it. She has doubled sales, brought back clients, and established new contracts. The Golden Crust has never been so good. The other day she told me, "Mr. Sterling, we should think about opening a second location." I laughed. "Candace, I'm 67 years old. I don't know if I have the energy for a second location. That's why Andre and I are here. Together we can do it." Maybe she's right. Maybe it's time to grow again, to dream again, because that's the beautiful thing about life. It's never too late to start over. Lisa, my sister, comes to visit me every Sunday. We cook together. We chat. We laugh. She tells me, "Marcus, I'm proud of you. What you did was hard, but it was right." I don't know if it was right, Lisa. I only know it was necessary. It's the same thing, brother. Sometimes what's right and what's necessary are the same thing. Maybe she's right. I've been thinking a lot about my wife, Denise, about what she would think of all this, whether she would be proud or disappointed. I think she would be proud because she was a strong woman, a woman who didn't let anyone put her down. And she taught me that. She taught me to fight. I wish she were here to see how things turned out, to meet her grandchildren, to see that her sacrifice was worth it. Because the Golden Crust exists, thanks to her too, to the nights she held me when I cried from exhaustion, to the words of encouragement when I wanted to give up, to her faith that I could do it. Everything I am, everything I built, has her imprint. And now that imprint is on Andre, and it will be on CJ and Zoe. That is the true legacy, not the money, not the business, but the values, the strength, the ability to get up after falling. A few weeks ago, Andre and I were closing the bakery alone. The employees had already left. We were cleaning the counter when he said, "Dad, can I ask you a question?" "Sure. How did you know?" "How did you know Tasha and I were going to betray you? How did you know you had to protect yourself?" I paused. I thought about my answer. I didn't know for sure, but I had suspicions. I saw the signs, the calls to suppliers, the documents you were digging through, the way Tasha looked at me as if I were an obstacle, not a person. And you decided to act. I decided to protect myself, which is different. I didn't act to attack you. I acted to defend myself. What's the difference? The difference is the intention. I didn't want to hurt you. I wanted to protect what was mine, what I had built, my dignity, my peace. He nodded, processing my words. "Dad, if you could go back in time, would you do things differently?" I thought about it. No, because if I hadn't acted, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. You would be celebrating your victory with Tasha, and I would be in some nursing home, stripped of everything, without dignity, without anything. And that would have been my fault. Yes, it would have been your fault, and mine, for not defending myself. He was silent for a moment. Dad, I'm never going to be able to make up for what I did to you. I'm never going to be able to erase that Christmas Eve. But I promise you something. What? That I'm going to teach CJ and Zoe what you're teaching me now. Respect, honesty, hard work, and that you never, ever take advantage of the people who love you, even if you can, especially if you can. My eyes filled with tears. That is the best promise you can make me. And in that moment, I knew that everything, all the pain, all the struggle, all the devastation, had been worth it. Because my son had learned, and he would pass that lesson on to his children, and they to theirs. That is the true legacy. Now I want to talk to you, to those of you watching this, to those who may be going through something similar. Maybe you have a child who disrespects you, a daughter-in-law or son-in-law who manipulates you, a relative who wants to keep what is yours, a partner who abuses your trust. And maybe you're thinking, what do I do? They're my family. I can't confront them. Yes, you can. Not only can you, you must. Because defending yourself is not selfishness. It is self-respect. It is self-love. It is dignity. And no one has the right to take that away from you. Will it be easy? No. It will hurt like you wouldn't believe. Will you lose people along the way? Probably. But do you know what else will happen? You will regain your peace. You will regain your dignity. And the people who truly love you, the ones who are really worth it, will find their way back, as Andre did. And the ones who don't return, the ones who don't apologize, the ones who keep blaming you, never deserved to be in your life in the first place. Letting them go is liberation, not loss. Another thing, to the younger people watching us, the sons and grandsons, respect your parents. Not because they have money, not because they can give you an inheritance, but because they deserve it as human beings. Your parents sacrificed for you. They stayed up all night when you were sick. They worked until they were exhausted so you could have what you needed. They gave you opportunities they never had. That is not repaid with money. It is repaid with respect, with gratitude, with love. And if you ever inherit something, let it be because you earned it, not because you stole it. Let it be because you proved you can take care of it, not because you demanded it. Because a badly gained inheritance always ends badly. I've seen cases. Children who stripped their parents bare, who had them committed to homes to keep their property, who forged signatures, who manipulated. And do you know what happened to them? Nothing good. The money went away. The businesses went bankrupt. The families disintegrated. And they were left with nothing but remorse. Because what is built on betrayal cannot stand. Eventually, it collapses. That is a universal law. I also want to speak to the people my age, those who are 60, 70, 80 years old, those who may think it's too late to fight back, that they no longer have the energy to fight. Yes, you do. Age doesn't take away your dignity. It doesn't take away your right to be respected. It doesn't make you any less valuable. And if someone, even your own family, is treating you badly, you have every right to defend yourself. It doesn't matter if you're 70 years old. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if they tell you you're being dramatic or exaggerating. Your peace of mind is worth more than anything. Your dignity is worth more than maintaining a false family harmony. Because there is no real harmony where there is a lack of respect. Seek legal help. Protect your assets. Document everything. Don't be afraid to act, as I did. And if someone tells you that you are selfish for not giving away your assets, for not letting yourself be trampled on, tell them the selfish one is the one who wants to take what is yours, not the one who defends it. Today, 6 months after that Christmas Eve, I wake up every day with peace, with purpose, with hope. The Golden Crust is still mine. My house is still mine. My dignity is still intact. And my relationship with Andre, although not perfect, is healing slowly, painfully, but healing because he chose to change. He chose to be better. He chose to earn my forgiveness instead of demanding it. And that makes all the difference. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe someday Andre will be my partner. Maybe someday I will leave him the business. Maybe not. But if it happens, it will be because he earned it, because he proved he can be trusted, because he proved he respects what I built, not because he forced me, not because he manipulated me, but because he deserved it. And that is the only right way to pass on a legacy. To all of you who have accompanied me on this story until the end, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. If this story helped you, if it taught you something, if it gave you the courage to defend what is yours, then it was all worth it. This is my story. This is my message. This is my lesson, and I sincerely hope it helps you. Because if a 6-7-year-old man could do it, you can too. Stand firm, stay strong, and never, ever allow anyone to take away what is yours because you built it, and you have the right to protect it. Until the next story, and may God bless you.